We bought this property in the 60s because it was adjacent to a family farm.
See the horses.
Sue is a rancher, mother, grandmother. She is the matriarch of Downwinders at Risk.
Sue Pope is an amazing woman. She's the quintessential example of Texas womanhood.
It was a dream. My husband wanted to go to the country. He was a country boy. So we purchased the land adjacent to the family farm, and we started breeding horses. It was all very successful operation.
Sue has inspired me as well as the other folks in our group by sacrificing a lot to protect her land. She loves the place that she lives, and she made a strong commitment to stay on this family land and fight for her right to breathe clean air.
See the gray around his face? He's right at 30. These are the last two I have.
She's one of those women that 150 years ago would greet you if you were a stranger at the gate with a baby in one hand and a rifle in the other.
She's hard-headed. She's determined. She doesn't give up easily.
Midlothian is the host for 3 cement plants. We are less than a mile from Wholesom's property. Every day I got up, I came outside and took care of the animals till dark, and I had a lot of energy, a lot of stamina. And then it was in the late 80s. It was just like I ran into a brick wall. I couldn't figure out what happened. There are days you come out and you smell odors that, are very disturbing, and you think, I need to get back in the house. The group that formed, we thought, well, how can we find out what we're being exposed to? In our research, trying to figure out what all was happening and the prevailing winds and how it traveled and what size particles could be inhaled and respired, we realized that the downwind cities were being affected as much, if not more so. It was tough organizing. People didn't want to hear it. They just thought we were a bunch of crazies that loved to hug the trees, but that wasn't it. We were concerned for people's welfare.
She was very much a figure of controversy, and still is, in Midlothian. And it took a lot of courage for her to step up and publicly say that she's challenging the way that the town sees itself and that the industry in town sees itself.
This is my home and my heart's here.
In 1998, Wholesome went to the state of Texas and asked to expand their plant, actually double their plant's capacity to produce cement. Sue Pope asked to protest that permit.
Sue was very persistent. It got to the point where she took on the responsibility for intervening in this Wholesome permit that for everybody else was just a no-brainer. Let them build their new plant, they'll produce half the emissions, we don't have to do a thing. It seems like a good idea.
When I said, okay, we've got to address this, and they said, just forget it. We are busy now, we got all that we can handle. And I said, well, I don't look at it that way. I'm still going to go ahead and file.
They got their permit anyway. It turns out that they couldn't do what they said they were going to do, despite their best intentions.
Oops, what happened?
I had been wrong, Sue had been right.
They came to us first and asked us to negotiate with them. And we said no. Sue said no. And so they went to the EPA. And the EPA came to our group and asked us if they could serve as mediators.
It would kind of surprise you to think that this could have happened, and then yet as you look at how it unfolded, then you begin to say, hey, this is a pretty good way to do business.
I was pleasantly surprised that Wholesome was willing to do their part to make some improvements.
Wholesome as a company, I think, is really committed to work with different groups. We have an open dialogue and we have nothing to hide.
We got a particulate matter monitor on their property. We got a scientist who goes out and makes surprise visits, watches their testing procedures.
And so I've been involved for a few years now, going to the facility, meeting the people on site, inspecting the facility, reviewing documents, talking to the plant manager. By letting in somebody who isn't affiliated with Wholesome onto the plant, they opened themselves up to some additional levels of scrutiny.
We also got advanced pollution controls on the plant, which has resulted in a dramatic decrease in pollutants.
Another part of the settlement agreement was to contribute $2.25 million to the Sue Pope Fund, which shall be used for other emission reductions of NOx in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.